Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? It's me, Mr. 4K Upscaler. So this is something that I was asked a question. Someone asked me on my community forums, one of my subscribers, would I be comfortable with playing a flight simulator at 1080p high-end settings with 60 FPS, meaning both 1080p rendering and 1080p output resolution? And simple answer is yes. I wouldn't mind it. Obviously, the image is going to look a bit softer. It's not going to look as you know as sharp as if I was to scale resolution a little bit higher and then upscale it to 4K. But it wouldn't bother me. That's the bottom line. Is I could easily play like this. Now, your TV is still going to upscale this 1080p to 4K regardless. But you got to remember, it's not going to look as vivid. It's not going to look as clean or as sharp as it would be at the higher scaled resolution. But yeah, man, I could easily, see myself playing like this. It wouldn't bother me one bit, uh, as you can see over here. But the question is 60 FPS that important? Well, 60 FPS, it's always good to have. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you, 60 FPS is not a big deal. Well, it's always nice to have 60 FPS as a standard. It brings fluidity. It makes everything look more natural, regardless whether you're playing a flight simulator or whether you're playing something else. Having 60 FPS, it's always more fluid. It feels always more natural. So yeah, 60 FPS. It's always going to be a my standard for any game. Uh, but is it super necessary for a game like Flight Simulator? Um, no, it's not super necessary, but it's nice to have it. It's nice to have it. Um, that's the whole point here, I guess, that I'm trying to make. Um, so to answer your question, whoever asked that, I forgot who it was, but yes, I can play like this, and most likely this is what I'm gonna experience on a Series S version, but it's not gonna bother me. There it is, like 1080, 1080p, and rendering 1080p. Sure, yeah, this right here is gonna give you the 60 FPS. Uh, no problem. You can actually make this even more higher frame rate by turning off some stuff that's not important. Like you can turn off the motion blur, depth of field. You can leave that on. Uh, yeah, the cockpit refresh rate, you can turn that to medium. Motion blur, you can turn that to medium. Um, Even the contact shadows, you can move down a little bit. Uh, and your texture super sampling at 2 times, and your anisotropic filtering, you can leave it at 2 times as well, and apply it. Um, like the only thing I would leave would be like maybe volumetric clouds at ultra, but keeping him in high is good. Your vector data is at high. Uh, you could keep this at the medium. This will really help. Terrain level of detail, you can keep it at 90 as well. And anti-aliasing TAA. We want the quality, so we'll keep that at TAA. So this right here will give you a pretty good, like, you know, even my 2060 Super is going to give you a pretty cool frames per second here. Like 60, steady 60 FPS. We can go back over here. Check the general options again. Make sure we got everything good there. And right here you're going to see it's just smooth as a butter. 60 FPS. And looks great. This is in real time. We can change the weather if you guys want to, you know. We can go back to, you know, scattered clouds and do this. Just keep it like this for the sake of the frames. So yeah, this is fine, you know, 60 FPS, like, it's great like this. It doesn't bother me, you know. And if you have the IR tracker, you know, this is gonna look even more smoother when you are looking around. Like, there's a guy on Twitch, his name is Flying with Fabio. He's using 1080p, and most likely he's using these types of settings. And the reason he's doing that is because he wants to have that, you know, accurate, smooth flying experience. As a pilot, which he is, and the instructor, he wants to have this type of experience. And I don't blame him, you know. 4K, it's nice. Listen, 4K, having a native 4K resolution, it's nice, you know. Out of all the people, I can testify to that. I can tell you it's nice to have that. But you know, even right now on a PC, with a high-end PC, with a very expensive PC, you're looking at maybe 50 frames per second. So even with a super high-end PC like a 3080 or 3090, you know, with some ridiculous CPU processing and 32 gigs of RAM, people are still having difficult time, you know, keeping this game at the 60 FPS. You know, they have to like bring down the settings to like high end. They can run at ultra. Maybe with a 3090 they can get like 57, 56, 58 frames per second on the high end settings with a 3090. But that's as far as it goes. If they go to ultra, automatically they drop down to 49 to 50 to 52. It's just, this is like a crisis, you know. Think of Flight Simulator like a crisis. Can it run Crisis? Well, now it's changed. Now the crisis, it's not the game that you test your PC. Now it's can you run a Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020? So to answer your question, guys, and I forgot who asked this question. I think there was multiple of you who asked this question. I'm okay with this, and quite frankly, I don't mind playing it like this at 60 FPS. I think Series S, they said it's gonna go above 30. I don't know. Look, man, I'm really curious to see what Series S gonna do, what Series X gonna do. But then again, a 30 FPS doesn't bother me as long as I get good visuals. It's nice to have 60 FPS. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and lie again. You know, I want to be honest with you guys. It's nice to have 60 FPS, but you have to remember something, guys. I gotta trim this airplane a little bit. It's nice to have 60 FPS, but is it necessary? What I'm trying to say is it necessary? I wouldn't say that it's necessary, but it's nice to have it. You know, it's nice to have it. But what do you guys think? I would like to hear your opinions on this. What do you guys think? Is it a big deal? Do you guys believe? Well, you know what? Let's see how this game operates when we have a bunch of precipitation. I'm sorry. When we got a bunch of rain and a bunch of clouds, I want to see how this looks under these type of circumstances. Let's see. Settings. Get the lighting. Let's get the. I'm just curious to see what type of performance. I'm still getting a nice 60 FPS here. I mean, this is nice. I mean, I'm sure you guys gonna agree. This is great. But is it like a super necessary? Of course not. But I don't know, man. I think I'm changing my mind a little bit. Would I trade visuals for 60 FPS? It's a good question. I'm asking myself that question. Look, if the image is too soft and the upscaling is not that good, then forget 60 FPS. I don't want it. But if I can have that nice upscaling resolution to 4K with a steady 60 FPS, then yeah, frames are important. And I know this will be like out for the debate. You guys can debate this. What do you think? I'm just putting a question out there. To me, yeah. I mean, look, man. Anything that you can run at the higher frame rate, it's gonna just be more natural, fluid experience. It's gonna feel natural. It's gonna feel like real time, like you simulating, almost like a mimicking real life, right? And I'm not gonna sit here again and lie and tell you that the frames are not important. Of course, the FPS are important. Don't kid yourself saying that I'm okay with a 30. You might be okay. I might be okay. Fine. But let's all be honest. Let's all just be frank with each other. Higher frame rates, it's a big deal. 120 frames per second. Like I remember playing that Mass Effect. Did the Mass Effect needed the 120 FPS? No, but man, it felt good. It felt smooth. It felt great. No loading time, 120 FPS. It felt really good playing that game like that. Imagine Flight Simulator at 120 FPS. Imagine how smooth this would feel going through the clouds. Like right here. Let's go through the clouds. You're gonna see just how smooth the experience is. How smooth it feels. Like maybe we can get out of the window here a little bit, like this. And you'll see just how smooth that experience is. Going throughout the clouds, Right up here. So like I said, I'm okay with this. It doesn't bother me, but look at this. Look at this. How everything gets smooth, right? And that's what people experience. That's what pilots experience when they're flying. This is what they experience, And if you don't have that smoothness, if you're missing that, then man. It's just not gonna. I'm telling you what the pilots told me. Yes, this is a simulator. It's hard for a simulator to mimic, a real aircraft and that whole experience being on an airplane, feeling the G's, feeling, the pressure as you're coming down really fast on your ears. all of that stuff, the tingling in the stomach, butterflies in the stomach, all of that. It's hard to simulate that. Okay, but this is what the pilots told me. They told me, they would prefer higher frame rate because that's how it feels. It feels more natural with a higher frame rate, So I think, in my opinion, I think the Xbox should give us a option. It should give us the option so we can choose between a higher frame rate or visuals, which is 30 FPS. I think Series X should give us that option. It would be nice to have that option. I wouldn't mind having 1080p upscale to 4K at 60 FPS. And then if I choose to go to visuals, I can turn it to 30 FPS. I think they should do that. I think they should give us the option. So the Asobo, if you're watching this, I think you should give us that option. I like having options, okay? I like having options. I think it's nice to have options. So that's just me. All right, let's land over here if we can. If we can. Oh my god. That wasn't smooth landing, but hey, better than nothing. Better than nothing, right? Better than nothing. So, in closing here, what I want to say in closing is that it's doesn't bother me 1080p, but is it like super necessary to have 60 FPS? I don't know. That's up to you guys to decide. Me personally, I think it's nice to have 60 FPS. It makes it more smoother, a smoother experience. But everyone will have a different opinion on this, I'm pretty sure. Everyone will have a different opinion on this, as people always do. There's a lot of turbulence here, man. I mean, a lot of wind. A lot of wind down here, man. It's a storm. So, try and do the best I can here. I'm gonna park it right over here on the right side. Here we go. Put a parking. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Turn off the engines. So, there you have it, guys. Let me know what you think. Is 60 FPS that important to you? Would you sacrifice 1080p for 60 FPS on the Series X? I know Series S is going to be 1080p anyway, but can Series S move up to 60 FPS? I would love to see Series S have that 60 FPS option, man. And I think the Xbox Series X should give us the option of 60 FPS versus 30, in my opinion. So, anyway, you guys let me know what you think. I'm just trying to answer your questions and tell you what I think. Now, I remember the visuals are not going to look that great. Remember, you're sacrificing visuals for, for the obvious reasons here, but you know, how important is this to you? How important is 60 FPS to you? That question to that, well, that question, to answer that question, yeah, only you guys can answer that question. I think I answered as much as I could, but at the end of the day, you guys will have to answer that to yourselves. You know, how important is that to you? You know, but let me know in the comments how important. Let this be the subject of the video here. How important is that to you? I told you what I think. I told you my opinions, but what do you guys think? How important is it to you? You know, especially in a flight simulator. All right? All right, guys. Thank you for watching.